What's going on, YouTube, man? We back at it again with another video. And what the fuck is this? What are we reacting to?
Hey, so we got
some trendy ass video.
we got some shit someone had told us to react to. We got the largest star in the universe. Size comparison.
About to see what the fuck is the biggest star, man.
Yeah,
Is our universe?
Yeah. So basically, bro, I don't know.
It's fucking big ass stars and shit. Like, how did this shit get that many views?
This shit got 3 million views in one day, bro.
So shit, man. Like, I'm trying to see like what's trendy about this shit, but yeah, we finna get into this, man. We on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so hit that subscriber button, hit that post notification bell, hit that hit the comments if you got stuff for us to react to, because like we take suggestions as like this. Somebody told us to react to this, so yeah, man. Hit that post notification bell, that subscribe button. Let's get into this shit. God damn, you're blasting it.
It's not that loud.
What is the largest star in the universe? And why is it that large? And what are stars anyway?
The fuck is this?
Things that would like to be stars. We begin our journey with Earth, not to learn anything,
That's
just
it.
to get a vague sense of scale. The smallest things
Fuck
that
is this
have
big-ass
some
planet?
star-like properties
This shit is
are large
huge.
gas giants or sub-brown dwarfs, like Jupiter, the
Damn.
most massive planet in the solar system. 11 times larger and 317 times more massive than Earth, and more or less made of the same stuff as our
God
Sun.
damn.
Just much less of it. The transition towards stars begins with brown dwarfs.
That's a
failed
dwarf?
stars that are a huge disappointment to their mums. They have between 13 and 90 times the mass of Jupiter. So even if we took 90 Jupiters and threw them at each other, although fun to watch, it wouldn't be enough to create a star. Interestingly, adding lots of mass to a brown dwarf doesn't make it much bigger, just its
I would never
insides
understand the
denser.
universe, bro.
This increases the pressure
What
of
what
core
is
enough
this
to
chemistry,
make
my
certain
nigga?
nuclear
I don't
fusion
know what the
reactions
fuck-
happen.
Bro, like I failed this
The
bullshit
glow
class.
a
It's not
little.
chemistry, it's some planetary
So
shit,
brown
bro.
dwarfs
Like,
are
what
a
the
sort of
fuck?
glowy gas giant that don't fit into any category very well. But we want to talk about stars, not failed wannabe stars, so let's move on. Main
So these
sequence
niggas are
stars.
disappointments.
So they're their own thing.
Once
like, they're not
large gas
stars, they're
balls
basically
pass a
planets.
certain mass threshold,
Alright.
their cores become hot and dense enough
See
to
the
ignite.
main side. This is the fucking dolphins that
Hydrogen
dude.
is fused to helium in their cores, releasing tremendous amounts of energy. Stars that do that are called main sequence stars. The more
we go.
massive a main sequence star is,
This is
the
easy
hotter
as
and brighter
shit.
it burns, and the shorter its life is. Once the hydrogen burning phase is over, stars grow, up to hundreds of thousands of times their original size. But these giant phases only last for a fraction of their lifespan.
Damn.
So we'll be comparing stars
God
at
damn.
drastically different stages in their lives. This doesn't make them less impressive, but maybe it's good to keep in mind that we'll be comparing
Why that one blue?
babies to adults. Now back to the beginning. The smallest real stars
I
are
heard, like,
red
the
dwarfs, about
blue and white
100
stars,
times the mass of Jupiter,
they're way
barely
harder.
massive enough to fuse hydrogen to helium. Because they are not very massive, they are small, not very hot, and shine pretty dimly. They are the only stars in the main sequence that don't grow once they die, but sort of fizzle out.
It looks pretty hot to me, man.
Red dwarfs are by far the most abundant type in the universe. Because they burn their fuel very slowly, it lasts them up to 10 trillion years, 1,000 times the current age of the universe. For example, one of the closest stars to Earth is a red dwarf star, Barnard star, but it shines too dimly to be seen without a telescope. We made a whole video on red dwarfs if you want to learn more. The next stage are stars like our Sun. To say the Sun dominates the solar system is not doing it justice, since it makes up
We got one of them?
99.86% of all
You
its
got, what, a
mass.
star?
A red
It
dwarf.
burns far hotter
It's the
and
closest
brighter
one
than
we-
red dwarfs,
closest
which
one we-
reduces its lifetime to about
Bro.
10 billion years. The Sun is 7 times more massive than Barnard star, but that makes it nearly 300 times brighter.
This is like some
with
shit they would
twice
play in
its
the classroom.
surface temperature.
You can't even see the Earth anymore.
Let's go bigger.
That
Small changes in mass produce
That's the Sun?
enormous changes in a main sequence star.
Yo, that shit huge.
The brightest star in the night sky, Sirius, is 2 solar masses with a radius 1.7 times that of the Sun, but its surface is nearly 10,000 degrees Celsius, making it shine 25 times brighter.
It's barely bigger than the
Burning
sun.
that hot reduces its total lifespan by 4 times to 2.5 billion years.
But that
Stars
one's
close
blue.
to 10 times the mass of our Sun have surface
Can't
temperatures
believe it.
near 25,000 degrees Celsius. Beta Centauri contains 2 of these massive stars, each shining with about 20,000 times the power of the Sun.
Shit's hot as
That's a
hell.
lot of power coming from something only 13 times larger, but they'll only burn for about 20 million years. Entire generations of these blue stars die in the time it takes the Sun to orbit the galaxy once. So is this the formula?
the bigger
the
the
more massive, the larger the
faster they
star.
die.
The
I
most
guess-
massive
yeah,
star that we know
shit.
is
The harder-
R136A1. It has 315 solar masses and is nearly 9 million times brighter than the Sun. And
Just
yet,
put as
despite its tremendous mass and power, it's barely 30 times the size of the Sun. The
This shit is
star is
blinding,
so
bro.
extreme and barely held together
Shit
by
is
gravity that
huge.
it loses 321,000 billion tons of material through its stellar wind every single second. Stars of this sort are extremely rare because they break the rules of star formation a tiny bit. When supermassive stars are born, they burn extremely hot and bright, and this blows away any extra gas that could make them more massive. So the mass limit for such a star is around 150 times the Sun. Stars like R136A1 are probably formed through the merger of several high-mass stars in dense star-forming regions and burn their core hydrogen in only a few million years. So this means they are rare and short-lived. From here, the trick to going bigger isn't adding more mass. To make the biggest stars, we have to kill
This
them.
nigga said a few million like it was not
Red
a
giants.
long time at all.
Yeah, but
When
like,
main
to
sequence stars
space
begin
and
to
shit's not
exhaust the
wrong at all.
hydrogen in their
Like, at
core,
all.
it contracts, making it hotter and denser.
So reds do have a
This leads
giant.
to hotter and faster fusion, which pushes back against gravity and makes the outer layers swell in a giant phase. And these stars become
heard this shit's
truly
gonna happen
giant
to the sun.
indeed.
Will
For
it get bigger?
example, Gacrax.
Like, you see this shit's
Only
gonna have like
30% more
4 billion
massive than the Sun, it has swollen to
shit.
about
They
84
don't last forever.
times its radius. Still, when the Sun enters the last stage of its life, it will swell and become even bigger.
That's the sun down
200
there?
times its current radius.
Yo!
In this final phase of its life, it will swallow the inner planets. And if you think that's impressive, let's finally it has swollen to about 84 times its radius. Still, when the Sun enters the last stage of its life, it will swell and become even bigger, 200 times its current radius. In this final phase
damn,
of its
this thing
life,
gets hella
it will
fucking big.
swallow the inner planets. And if you think that's impressive, let's
does
finally
it get big,
introduce
though?
the largest stars in
Who's
the
the red
universe,
giant?
hypergiants.
Hypergiant.
Hypergiants
These
are
niggas
the
sound
giant
like it's gonna
phase
be
of the
huge.
most massive stars in the universe. They
Let's
have
see
an
hypergiants.
enormous surface area that can radiate an insane amount of light. Being so large, they're basically blowing themselves apart, as gravity at the surface is too weak to hold on to the hot mass which is lifted away in powerful stellar winds. Pistol Star is 25 solar masses, but 300 times the radius of the Sun, a blue hypergiant
Look at that.
aptly named for its
Yo.
energetic blue starlight. It's hard to say exactly how
Pistol
long
Star.
Pistol Star will live, but probably just a few million years.
Few million
Even
years.
larger than the blue hypergiants are the yellow hypergiants. The most well-studied is Rho Cassiopeia, a star so bright it can be seen with the naked eye, although it's thousands of light years from Earth. At 40 solar
so
masses,
bright.
this star is
Well, you know
around
how
500
far
times
is
the
that?
radius
How far
of the
that
Sun
that
and
is?
500,000 times brighter. If the Earth were as close to Rho Cassiopeia as it is to the Sun, it'd be inside it, and you would be very dead. Yellow hypergiants are very rare though, only 15 are known. This means they're likely just a short-lived intermediate state as a star grows or shrinks between
So they
other
get
phases
bigger.
of hypergiantness. With red hypergiants, we reach the largest stars known to us, probably the largest stars even possible. So, who's the winner of this insane contest? Well, the truth is, we don't know. Red hypergiants are extremely bright and far away, which means that even tiny uncertainties in our measurements can give us a huge margin of error for their size. Worse still, red hypergiants are solar system-sized behemoths that are blowing themselves apart.
They are
which makes
solar
them
system
harder to
size.
measure. As we do more
That's what he
science
just said.
and our instruments improve, whatever the largest star is will
They're
change.
huge.
The star that is currently thought to be among the largest we've found is Stephenson 218.
Why
It
your name
was
is
probably
Stevenson?
born as a main sequence star a few tens of times the mass of the Sun and has likely lost about half its mass by now. While typical red hypergiants are 1,500 times the size of the Sun, the largest rough estimate places Stephenson 218 at 2,150 solar radii and shining with almost 500,000 times the power of the Sun.
Wow.
By comparison, the Sun seems like a grain of dust. Our brains don't really have a way of grasping this kind of scale. Even at light speed, it would take you 8.7 hours to travel around it once. The fastest plane on Earth would take around 500 years. Dropped on the Sun, it would fill Saturn's orbit. As it evolves, it will probably shed even more mass and shrink down into another hotter hypergiant phase, accumulate heavy elements in its core, before finally exploding in a core collapse supernova, giving its gas back to the galaxy. This gas will then go on to form another generation of stars of all sizes, starting the cycle of birth and death again to light up our universe. Let's make this journey again, but this time without the talking. The universe is big. There are many large things in it.
Earth is like a pebble.
You can even see it.
So this is what the fuck is in our fucking... This is what's in
If you want to play a bit
space
more
and
with
shit.
size stuff, we have good news. We've created our first app, Universe in a Nutshell,
Yeah.
together with Tim Urban,
You're not
the brain
self-promoting, man.
behind
Sorry.
Rape One.
So,
You know,
but I think we just low-key sat through a little chemistry class, bro.
not chemistry, some planetary shit, bro. You know what this shit reminded me of? You saw like the same type of video back in like when I was like fucking 11 in 5th grade.
I remember. I low-key remember that.
You know that one video with the little planet side by side?
Yeah, I remember that. My nigga, these are huge.
Bro, that this weirdo said you can't fucking even.
This is a grain of rice.
No, you
Not a
can't.
grain of dust. The sun compared to that big shit is a grain of dust.
You can't grasp it with your mind. Shit's weird as hell, my god. I didn't know shit could get that big. Though. I mean, I kinda knew, but like,
Imagine, bro.
I didn't think it could get
Imagine
that
how
big.
bright that is.
I didn't like to the point where the fucking sun, my god.
Even if you do this with your eyes, bro, you're blind. You're blind. If you look at it with your eyes covered and your hand above it, you're blind.
Shit's weird as hell, bro. Hey,
Bro,
but anyway,
shit.
make sure you guys like, subscribe, turn the bell notifications on. You got any recommendations? You guys can hit us in the comment section. Our social media in the description down below.
Yeah, just let us know any video you guys want us to react to, man. Cause low-key, it was a classroom type of video, but it was kind of heat. You learn new shit every day, man. But yeah, yo.